Hey, Guoba here. Today I'm going to go through my experience in the brand new game, The 7 Deadly Sins Origin, talking about my first impressions and what cool things you can expect. It is a fun new open world adventure in the 70s universe that I'm sure many of you will enjoy, and it has a super great multiplayer system if you want to play with friends. This video is sponsored by PlayStation and Netmarble, thank you to them, and the game is out right now for free, so be sure to check it out there using my link below. But now, let's check this new game out. So the 7 Deadly Sins Origin is an open-world RPG where you can properly explore the whole continent of Britannia from the series. You'll fight familiar foes, meet familiar characters, and travel through iconic locations like the city of Leonis. It is a completely original story set in the same world, taking place between the 7 Deadly Sins' main story and the 4 Nights of the Apocalypse. So you get to experience a brand new adventure fully voiced by the original cast from the anime. You play as Tristan and must save Britannia from collapse as multiversal and time-based shenanigans start happening after the prologue where you pick up this Book of Stars. Ancient locations are reappearing, forgotten foes are reborn, and you'll have to face these crises in the main story. And this ties into the whole gameplay system too. Old and sometimes dead characters can show up, allowing you to play as or against them, and some will help you throughout the story. It also opens up a ton of alternate reality possibilities, and I won't be surprised if they release super special variants of the main cast for milestone events. The story has been nice fun so far. Everything was voiced, even our main character thankfully, and the voice acting felt as lively as an anime could. The animations in the story, the cutscenes and the expressions, camera angles, they all lead to a superbly told adventure. And who can be upset when our favorite Hawk is joining us along for the ride? Speaking of Hawk, you have mounts in this game, and of course Hawk is happy to be our first one. Charging into battle on our pig friend will never get old. So exploring is nice. You can climb like other open world titles, you can glide too, but mounts are often ignored and I'm glad we have them here. And there are even flying mounts which are so refreshing to have and super cool. So not only can you experience this whole continent on land, but you can do so too in the skies now and enjoy the sights from a great height. But of course we can't forget the seas too, and so underwater exploration is a thing too for even more variation. And you can also travel by boat too if you're scared of the depths. Finally, characters sometimes even have exploration-based abilities like Tiore, who can launch herself into the air with a grapple ability. The areas I explored so far are pretty neat. The first area is definitely going to have familiar vibes, as it's a lot of plains and hills and forests, but they have a bunch of other regions later on that you can explore that deviate from that. Being able to explore the capital city of Leonis is pretty awesome. It's a really large and interesting place. The map and areas, especially for a 1.0 launch, are seriously surprising. When I first opened the map during my gameplay, I was impressed with the sheer quantity of areas on launch. There seems to be a whole load of content for day one gamers with more to come each update. And the performance and visuals were permanently smooth. I had no issues with loading times, frame drops, or any weird texture problems. I could do a quest, enter a dialogue, exit, TP, enter, menu, combat, all back to back seamlessly on the PS5. But the actual gameplay is very important, and I'm satisfied with the combat. I think it's a bit lackluster at the start since everything is in tutorial gloves on mode, and I'm sure when I experience tricky content it will feel better. But the bones of combat are great, and I tried as much as possible to test the limits on what you could do. You have a 4-member party system where you have multiple abilities, an ultimate attack, but also tag team moves that you can trigger in certain conditions. You can also use abilities together with specific characters like this dual ultimate with the main character duo. You have your classic dashing, perfect dodging, but if it ain't broke don't fix it, and they can instead work on this simple combat base to give us cooler and cooler abilities in the character themselves. Speaking of that, there are 8 elements which also interact with combat as well as 12 weapon types, and characters can even have multiple elements and weapons too, which is pretty neat. A character, in fact, can have 3 weapon types, and you can change their abilities and sometimes element depending on the weapon. So if you really love a character but not one of their playstyles, then maybe you'll like one of their other ones. There is also no weapon gacha as far as I know, it's just for characters and cosmetics. It also looks pretty generous for the launch. The roster is already expansive on release, and they have a bunch of characters from the main series to come, but also original Origin exclusive ones that they'll be sprinkling in too. I just can't wait to see Escanor be released. And if that didn't get you interested, well, here's a final bombshell. Because there are overworld fights to be had with boss fights scattered around the continent. There is, of course, the main story. There are puzzles, there is exploration, there are dungeons. But why do it all solo? Multiplayer is a big thing in this game, and it's in other games, but I love how they implemented it here. You can in fact play the MSQ with your friends. Yes, you can even progress with them, you don't have to kick them out. No more having to go solo and complete a storyline, you can chill with your friends and enjoy it together. But another big win is that when playing co-op, you're not hurting your own gameplay to do so. Because when playing with your friends, you still have your full 4-character roster to fight with, and so do they, allowing for some super cool combinations and no more having to swap to a role you might not want to play. And there's also crossplay, so you're not limited to your platform. So if any of this excites you, be sure to download now for free on PS5 using my link below. The launch is an amazing time to start with everyone exploring and discovering new things about the game altogether, and there are so many good rewards and events for the game's full release. Thank you again to Netmarble and PlayStation for sponsoring this video, thank you so much for watching, and have a Guoba day!